Hello and welcome to another video. This time we're gone back to Christmas, and with me today to celebrate Christmas is my good friend from a place that actually has wintry weather, unlike where I am. My good friend Fox in a Fix. Say hi.
Ho ho ho! It's actually white outside. How's the weather at your place?
It's clear. It's summer. It's actually not too hot today, but it's nice. It's where we this year 2021 is a weird one because you've got summer, you got the hot conditions, but you've also got La Nina, which is trying to bring all this cold and wet weather at the same time. It's like there's a constant battle. You get one or two hot days, and then you'll get a few stormy days and cooler days. It's very weird, but no snow. 100% no snow, so I can definitely confirm that. So, but yeah, today, just thought, before Christmas, we're just going to have a chat about our experiences with Christmas specials because none of us are American. I mean, I don't know about you, Fox. I mean, I
Not
suspect
at
you're not.
all. Not at all. Can you even get in the Christmas spirit when there's no snow and and everything's warm? And is that possible for
Well,
you?
I feel sorry for the Sanders here because when it reaches 40 degrees Celsius, which is about 100 and something Fahrenheit in the US, and they're wearing all those thick wintry clothes. It's just really, really bizarre. But we get so much American TV and movies that we're kind of used to it. I mean, recently I watched Home Alone for the billionth time, which I'll never get sick of. I think it's a classic for a reason. I absolutely love it. Um, but one day, if I ever come to Europe or the US, I definitely want to see some snow. That would be an
Yeah.
experience.
Well, you should
You know,
come to Paris or something at winter time. I think that's going to be beautiful.
I think so, but then again, people look at me weird. I'll be probably on the sidewalk making, the snow angels, and be like, "What's this idiot doing? He's acting like he's never seen snow before." I almost haven't.
Oh my gosh! It all makes sense now. I can
Yeah,
put on warm clothes like Santa.
exactly. That would all make sense. That's right. But no, look, I mean, I love this time of year. Especially when I've because I've got kids. So for me, I think just being the parent now is a lot of fun. You get to do the whole Santa thing. I mean, I don't dress up like Santa, mind you. I mean, I know I probably got I got the daddy belly, so I could probably be Santa. But no,
Well, you
it's
could
a
be
whole
a
lot of
good
fun.
Santa, but your eyebrows would be too dark, I think. So sorry.
Probably, I'll just hide them with my glasses, and oh wait, it makes it even worse if I lift up. Big eyebrows, big eyebrows. But look, but the interesting thing about the US is that they have these few animated specials that I consider to be Christmas classics, and yet for some reason I never saw them until very very recently. And I wanted to chat about two in particular. Nothing in depth. We're not going to talk about the history of these cartoons or anything like that. I mean, it is Christmas, and I can't be stuff researching. But I mean, the first one is going to be the Grinch, right? Because I saw this the first time about 5 years ago, and you probably think, "Wow, did you see this growing up?" But no, I don't recall it ever being played on TV. At least as far as I was aware. Maybe it did. I don't know. And if you know an Australian who's seen this younger on TV, let me know. I would really like to know. I mean, maybe it did. But what about yourself? I mean, I think you only watched it very recently, right?
Yeah, so the Grinch must be the most popular one in the US, the USA, as a Christmas special. But for some reason, I only got to see it in like special features for the Looney Tunes stuff and documentaries about Chuck Jones. They put snippets of the Grinch in there. So when you talk about the Grinch, not the cringe, over here, all my friends think about that live action Jim Carrey movie, and nobody knows about the animated special from the '60s for some reason. So actually, when you live here, you only know about it when you watch the Looney Tunes documentaries and everything. For some reason, it's just not on TV.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. In fact, funnily enough, the first time I ever even knew about the special was in Home Alone 2, where you see actually Home Alone 1, I should say, he briefly watches it at home, and then in Home Alone 2, Kevin McAllister sees it in the limo very briefly as well. And those were the first times I've actually even knew of it, but I didn't know what it was. And then, like you, yeah, I learned more about it in the special features. I knew about the book, of course. I knew about the Jim Carrey movie, so I knew what the Grinch was, but I just never saw the special. But I tell you, it is a classic. And when people think Chuck Jones, they think Looney Tunes, of course, especially the Duck Amuck and Duck Dodgers and so on. Those some of the best cartoons he ever made, and the Grinch. He's made so many cartoons, and yet those are the only two that people think of. Maybe Tom and Jerry, if they're paying attention to the directing credits. But what about yourself? What did you think of it now that you finally watched it?
Well, of course, the Grinch is a Dr. Seuss story. Like, Looney Tunes did some more of it, like Horton hatches the egg, and there's the cat in the hat. For some reason, those storybooks and movies never really made it in Holland. So, like I said, when you watch The Grinch, it's actually very much like a Chuck Jones cartoon. It's very pretty, very colorful. I like the first scenes with all the different snowflakes that I cut out for the opening. But I watched it a few days ago, and well, I was always making a painting in my head from how it would be because so many people talked about it, and it was actually exactly like I thought because so many people were talking about it. There's this scene in particular in which the Grinch peels away the candy sticks from the sleeping children, and I thought some of that was animated very realistically. So he has to scoop over some of the hands to get it right.
Yeah,
And I'm not used to seeing this much attention to detail in 60s animation. So I was kind of blown away by stuff like that, but at the same time there weren't too many jokes I laughed at. So there's this little
yeah,
dog character, and I'm sure everybody loves him, but it's always the same. He gets stuck in some snow, or he flies through the air, and he's kind of like, "Oh my, what happens to me? I'm just a little innocent dog." And those kind of jokes are very Disney-esque, and I thought that Chuck Jones had moved beyond those times, but I think without Michael Maltese, he had to come up with his own stories again, and they just became a little bit more sappy again. But it's okay. It's lovely. It's great. But there's no duck season, rabbit season jokes or anything.
mm. Yeah. And you got Marie Snowball, of course, in this one too, and it's the look of the film is just amazing. It really is a great looking one, and the dog is in it more just to give the Grinch a counterpoint because I don't off memory I don't think the dog was in the book. It's been a long time since I read the book, but I think the dog was just put in there for that reason, which is a great idea. I think the dog worked pretty well, at least in my opinion. But you mentioned the realistic animation, and because remember at this time you had Hanna Barbera. They were really popular with limited animation, and of course even like Woody Woodpecker would still come out with stuff, but that's very limited too. But Chuck
Very
was
limited.
yeah, he would call it illustrated radio, basically. So I think he was trying to prove a point that you could still do top quality animation even for television, and even the stuff he did in the '70s. Whether you enjoy the complete product or not, like the Christmas in Manhattan one, I forgot. Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but I know the Rudyard Kipling books he adapted. The animation, considering the low budgets, actually quite fluid. I have to
Yeah,
admire him for at least
I
doing
think
that.
it was in fact Chuck Jones who called it limited, or he called it animated radio. It was his
Yeah, or
words.
illustrated radio or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, how would you rate the Grinch out of 10? Having seen it, like because you don't have the nostalgia for it, but so how would you rate it seeing it for the first time only recently?
Well, there's the Chuck Jones directorial part, but there's also just the story of the Grinch, the Dr. Seuss part, and I think it's just so imaginative with the made-up words and the made-up rituals mixed with real things. So when they're singing, I was like, I don't understand any of this, but then I found out they were all made-up words, and then they have all these uh, constrictions made, and I'm like, this is pretty much all made up except for the Christmas element. So I think that's very original, and that's also something Dr. Seuss does in the rest of his stories. But once you figure out that, it's actually very genius. The concept of the story of the Grinch, and it folds together greatly with Chuck Jones's direction work. So, but it's just maybe a little predictable, but Christmas special are supposed to be a little predictable and a little sappy, so I can't blame it for that. And it looks really good. So if it would have been spoiled by people talking about it so much, and I would have seen it for the first time, I would probably give it an 8 or maybe higher. But because I just painted this picture of it already in my head and it played out just like that, I'd give it now like a 7.5. But it's very good anyway. So how about
Sure.
yourself?
Look, I'll give it 8.5. Mind you, in my experience, I actually watched it for the first time with my kids, but they were very little at that point. I think they were like 2 and 1 years old, respectively. And yeah, I'll give it about 8.5. We all just enjoyed it a lot. And I bought the very recent Blu-ray actually that also has two more Grinch specials because Frisch Freling's production company actually did another one, and then they had one where he actually meets Cat in the Hat, and it's all remastered in high definition, and it's all really good stuff. But those two don't quite match up with this cartoon. But the second one that a lot of Americans, uh, I guess it's basically a tradition, really, is the the Charlie Brown Christmas special, which is the first Peanuts TV special of many. Because I was surprised to see how many they actually did. They did so many TV specials plus four movies, at least during Schultz's lifetime until he passed away in 2000. And even that one, I never saw it. I mean, again, I'm not saying it never played here in Australia, but I never saw it. It was never a thing for me. In fact, Charlie Brown, I discovered it about, like, not even in the comics. It was well after the strip ended. I actually borrowed a book of the very first Charlie Brown strips. There was a hardcover collection, and these were the first few years. That's how I got into it, and then it was after I would look into all the other stuff. So it's really weird. So I watched the Christmas special, and I mean, I'm blown away at how much they did with so little. And that thing had such a low budget. I mean, wow. But you had an ex Bob Clampett animator directing this, so he knew the ins and outs of animation because he was also the UPA too.
Bill Melendez, right?
Yes, Bill Melendez, that's right. And later on, he'd do the voice of Woodstock, that little bird, when he comes into it in a future special. But yeah, like he clearly knew the ins and outs on how to make the low budget work and limited animation work, because he also did the two extremes, Clampett and UPA. I mean, they're so different, but he knew what to do, and I
Right.
absolutely love it. I mean, when did you first see it?
Well, don't you think it's funny because we're making this video, and the audience will probably be mostly American people who are deeply
Mm,
nostalgic for these specials, and we are both like, well, we never saw it as a kid. We watched it recently. It's all right, I can imagine
yeah,
that's very frustrating. So same with this Charlie Brown Christmas thingy. I never watched it because Charlie Brown and Snoopy and Peanuts, all that stuff, never became that big over here. I recently watched a history of Charlie Brown and all the comics and all the specials, and I know that the Christmas special has a very special place, and I probably should watch it, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
sure. I thought you did. Well, that's all right. Don't worry, this video was not about it. Embarrass you. It's like get him. He hasn't watched Charlie Brown Christmas yet. Get him.
Well, I am very ashamed, and I do deserve to die, so I'm all good.
Clearly, clearly. I mean, I've recently they released this Blu-ray set of the four movies.
Yeah.
With the last two movies, they never actually released on Blu-ray before, so now they got all four. So now there's no excuse. I'll lend those movies to you plus the other specials. But I'll give it a rating anyway since I've seen it. I mean, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. It's really, really good. Now, I might have now hyped it up too much for you, but surely between now and next Christmas, I'm sure you'll give it a watch. I'm sure, right?
Well, I would love to get into the Charlie Brown stuff, also the comics, but also the specials. The stuff
Hmm.
that I've seen that really competent for such limited animation. So.
Exactly right. I mean, not all the specials were perfect. There was some with a lot of what I call fluff. They just it's Charles Schultz. He didn't believe in writer's block, so he just kept on writing. And sometimes it does show, like he'll stretch things out a lot more than they probably should, just to meet the time limit of the TV specials. But anyone watching this, write in the comments which are the best ones that you think Fox should see. I mean, clearly the two, of course, is the Christmas one and the Halloween one. They're the two most famous ones of the TV specials, and I would say the first movie too, which I got to look at the title because I forgot. A Boy Named Charlie Brown. That's it.
Ah, right.
Definitely that one as well. But yeah, definitely
Well,
let us know.
you know what the thing is with this stuff. These Christmas specials you want to watch together. With some good friends or family members, but because everybody here is Dutch speaking and not English and not American, so these people don't know this stuff. They don't know I want to watch it, so all this stuff I gotta watch alone, and that also takes away a little bit of the spirit, I think. So that might be a part, but I'll watch it anyway, gladly.
Well, maybe a whole bunch of us should get together. We'll learn a bit of Dutch. We'll dub it for you, and then you can have a dubbed version in Dutch, and you can show it to your friends and family. I mean, I don't think I can do the beautiful score, which I forgot to mention. I mean, it's just the Jay-Z score is just fantastic. I mean, even if you watch the special and for whatever reason you don't like it, I don't know why, but let's just say you did it, you would still be tempted to go out and buy that album. That's how good the music is. It's just incredible. I know that there is one Christmas special, unlike the Charlie Brown one, I have not seen, but you have, and you're going to introduce to us today, because we're going to do a good old-fashioned audio commentary. It's a public domain short, so we're not going to get in trouble by anyone. Fingers crossed. I don't know if some ridiculous thing may happen, but in any case, what are we going to be watching right now, Fox?
Well, first of all, I know I'm a terrible person because I had not seen the Grinch. I had not seen Charlie Brown. I did see the Bugs Bunny Looney Christmas Tales thing, but that's whatever. But the thing that I brought to the table is this Van Buren short, The Little King, Christmas Time, aka Pals. And it's Van Buren. For people who don't know, they made some of the ugliest cartoons ever, but also some of the funniest. And I have a guilty pleasure for them. They closed doors in 1936, before most studios had their prime. So they only existed for a few years, and they made some very bad, ugly, but some very hilarious shorts. And at some point, they had the rights to publish shorts with the So Glow characters. He was also a comic artist. They did some with the Guard. I think only two, and then they made a whole series with the Little King. And that's one of the shorts that I wanted to show Anthony because it's just so different from Looney Tunes, from Chuck Jones. It's black and white. It's very simply drawn, although it is very competent for the standard of Van Buren cartoons. But I also think it's just hilarious in its own way, and I wanted Anthony to watch some, and I hope y'all can enjoy for what it is. It's about
Of
Christmas anyway.
course. Of course. So let's let's get up and running, and we'll give it a watch. Should I be saying hello and welcome to another? No, I'm not gonna say. I'm on holiday mode. I'm not doing that now.
And for some
Official
reason
films.
it says official films, but this is obviously repackaged, so it's supposed to say Van Buren.
Wow. Christmas night. Because like I said, guys, I've not seen this. And I always like to see different things. But oh wow, look at the legs. Look at the legs. That's look. Yeah, I kind of I like the look of this. It's
The look of it is very, very funny, and this king character is also a very fun character because he's the king of his country, and also he's like a little child, so he loves to do childish things, but he has a lot of impact, so that's kind of the fun of his character. And here
of
he moves
course.
two bums.
Well, is that us too? Yeah. Well, if we holiday in France or something, we lose all our money. We're just looking out the windows. There we are again. Which one are
Yeah,
you?
so He meets these two bums because he wants to look at the toys.
Wow.
Y'all can see for yourself, anyway.
I think I'm the one in the middle. Well, I'm the little one, and you're the. Wow, you got big noses all of a sudden.
Did you say I'm the big one? Because I'm definitely the little one.
Well, they look almost the same anyway. I just love the
It's
look of.
true. Yeah, these are very typical Van Buren characters. They look a little bit like the Tom and Jerry characters from the early 30s. Just ugly and generic, but
And so they're not saying to the king, "Hey, we're starving in that. You're not running a great kingdom here. Can you help us out?" But no, we won't get too political, of course.
they didn't even
Gee,
notice he's the king.
probably not. I mean, who would? That was a weird camera flip because you had the king on the left, Santa on the right, but then they flipped it over. That's very strange. You wouldn't usually break that film rule.
Yeah, well, these guys have very low standards, so.
No. No.
But that's the fun of it, So he made some friends.
Well, yeah. The best friends you can make are bums on Christmas night. It's like, all right. I mean, the scaling is a bit off, but whatever. We'll we'll just go with that.
I'm really baffled why this little king character didn't get more famous, because I watched all 10 of his cartoons and now there's just so much charm in it.
Maybe it was just too stylized. I mean, oh geez, what's going to happen? He brings home two men and he's rubbing his nipples.
Well, now he just looks like Heifer from Rocko's Modern Life.
It looked seriously. If you showed someone this out of context, this king bringing home two men and then he takes off his clothes and rubs his nipples, you think, what kind of a cartoon is this? It's a bit of a questionable cartoon.
Well, I forgot to say that a lot of these cartoons are kind of raunchy. So there's a cartoon in which the little king brings home some ladies and he's fooling around with the ladies all the time, and it's actually very dirty. So, but I like that.
Clearly he's a bit of a swinger, I mean, hey, no judgment, if he's, well, there you go. See, he's bathing with two other men, okay. And he's happy about it. Again, as long as everyone's happy and it's all consensual, hey, I'm not going to say anything, but his mouth animation. Oh, jeez. Wow.
It's just the weirdest thing, the king with two of these people going into a bath.
Well, look, if he's trying to do something nice for his bums, it doesn't mean you have to go in the shower in the bath with them or anything. Just say, hey,
no,
you
don't have to tell me.
Your turn for the shower. Oh boy! And why are they still wearing their hats? And just because you're a king, you don't have to wear the crown all the time. I mean, the Queen of England doesn't wear a crown all the time.
They have to be recognizable for the viewer, or else you gotta mix them up.
Like, ye queen. Of course he's got to fool around while she's sleeping, of course.
You're still belching these bubbles.
Why would you wear your crown while you're sleeping? That's very suggestive. That's a bit cheeky. I mean, this is 1933, so I'm guessing the Hays Code would only just come out.
I think this is just before they did the Hays Code thing, yeah. So everything was allowed, and they sure made use of that. Yeah, he's still belching the bubbles.
See, they could say that's suggestive too. Of course, a log, three men in the bed.
Sure, that's what I didn't even think about that.
Well, yeah, and then what does it say about me for thinking about it? I don't know. Don't mind me, everyone. That's not a very competent Santa. It's like everyone wakes up. It's like you got presents, but we got to sell those presents because we got to pay to fix up the chimney.
So I watched this short once, so I don't know how it's gonna end anyway. So I'm just as curious as you are.
I like the touch of those two extra bricks falling down just before the scene change. I like that touch. Christmas tree seeds, yeah, because the king clearly can't afford a tree, lives in this big castle. But why would it matter now? Why do you need a tree all of a sudden?
Maybe it's turned into Jack and the Beanstalk.
Like, why are these men just like children? Hooray! This is one of the stupidest cartoons I've ever seen. You know, this is ridiculous.
But at the same time, you're having just as much fun as the king because we want to ride in one of these small cars in the house.
Oh, look at the plane! You can't even get you can't even get a plane like that today, like a toy plane. I mean, what a lucky! I can see where they spent all the budget, by the way, in that staircase.
This is
Clearly,
becoming
that's
a bit like a Mario Kart course, I think.
look at that. The presents don't even last what a minute. But you're the king. I'm sure you can afford it. Oh, of course, we have no true ending,
Of course.
as you would expect in these things. Similar to when I did the Boscos, where they just didn't know how to end them. Oh
I
my!
don't even know who directed this one, so I'm sorry for all the people I didn't credit. But you know,
No, I'm sure Devin Baxter can give us the answer or something. He'll know more about it, or whoever. I mean, if you know more information about it, let us know because that was one of the trippiest, weirdest cartoons. Now I'm going to watch the rest of them. Yeah,
well,
thanks a
I think
lot. You know.
there's this historian called Charlie Judkins, and I think he's writing a book about the Van Buren cartoon, so you might find out very soon. But
Oh, that'll be good. I'll be definitely interested in watching that. Now we've discussed first of all, yeah, the cartoons that are famous around Christmas time that we didn't encounter. But what is one that I guess we did grow up with? I thought we'd throw in at the end before we finish up. Now, for me, I know this is going to seem too obvious because I'm covering the Looney Tunes on the channel, every single one. But definitely Bugs Bunny's Looney Christmas Tales. I mean,
yeah,
I had that taped on video. And I watched that thing constantly, even when it wasn't Christmas. I thought it was a load of fun. I didn't really watch too many of the shorts, except for the few I had on VHS, about maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 of them, if that, until finally I watched them properly on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection. But it's a lot of fun. You got Frizz doing two, you've got Chuck doing one, and by this point in Chuck's career, the best stuff he was doing was the Roadrunner shorts anyway, in my opinion. And it was a different take. It broke. I mean, it broke is one of his so-called rules where he must be in the desert. But hey, I thought the gags were pretty clever for what they were. I mean, you watched it yourself, didn't you, when you were growing up? Yeah.
yeah. When I was little, we hired this from the library, the VHS tape, and we illegally copied it on our own VHS tape. So I watched it many
Uh
times after that. Yeah,
oh,
I'm very sorry. I'm a criminal. I deserve to die. I told you.
that's
Um,
right.
but it was a Dutch dub, of course, a very bad dub because as a kid you don't speak English. Um, but there's these three shorts. One, of course, the Chuck Jones one with Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner in the Snow. I think that's a very fun one. It's also a little cheaper animation, but it makes it, a little more silly, I think. So that's good. And the other ones are these Frisk cartoons with Bugs. And I think only the first one, the Bugs Bunny's Christmas Carol, is the only one that's not been restored in HD yet. So the other two, I think you can watch on HBO Max already.
I think you can. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, the first one, of course, is Christmas Carol. I mean, how many times has that story been milked? I mean, seriously. I mean, look, I love the Christmas Carol story, and I like the different adaptations. The Muppets one. I even didn't mind the Jim Carrey version. That one wasn't too bad. Plus, a lot of the live action ones. And Chuck even produced a Richard Williams version from 1971 of Christmas Carol,
Oh,
and
really?
that was nominated for an Oscar, but because it was a television special, the Academy pretty much changed the rules the following year. So you'll never see a television special be nominated for an Oscar for animated shorts, which is a shame. But it's a good one. It's actually on public domain. You can see it on, or at least it's easy to see on YouTube. that's short. But what do you think of the first segment? Did you
Well, of
with
course,
the
there's
Christmas
also
Carol?
the 2006 Bah Hamdak that we watched, I think, last year. So that's
Yeah,
also the same story with the Christmas Carol, only it's not Yosemite Sam as Scrooge, but Daffy Duck. They both fit, I guess, but I think Yosemite Sam is definitely the better pick. I really
I
like
think
that
so.
short because it has a lot of characters in it, and you know, uh, Bugs pulls some shenanigans. I think it's a good show, but I really have to watch it again because I was waiting for it to turn HD into rewatching it, but it just never came out. So
Hmm.
I think I'll have to
No,
watch the
of
SD
course.
version.
Of course. And I already mentioned how great the Roadrunner portion is, and I do like how they segue into it. I thought that was pretty clever. It goes from the freeze freeing cartoon. You see at the tail end the Roadrunner and Cody, then they just
Right,
race off, and then you start the
the
cartoon.
bridging
But
material.
the third
Yeah,
one, exactly. But the third one's interesting because McKimson, I think, passed away around this point, who was the guy who did the Tasmanian Devil. So this is Freeze, of course, doing the Tasmanian Devil, and I thought this was pretty fun. I quite like it. It's no major classic, but hey, I got a kick out of it. What did you think of the third one?
well, I wish it were better because I really love the Tasmanian Devil, but some of the animation is really cheaply done for some reason. Some shots just look really bad, and some of the score is, you know, not good. But as a kid, I liked it, and I certainly like the part where Tess is eating the Christmas tree balls. I don't even know what they're called in English. The
That's right,
Christmas tree balls.
Baubles,
Oh, all right. Those
Baubles.
I like that part, and I just love Tess, so I watch this anytime. But I think Frisk does a good job of capturing the Tasmanian Devil, and you know, um, um, extending the legacy from what Robert McKimson already did. So, but
Of course.
into production, this short could have been of a little more high quality, but it's all right.
Yeah, by that point, animation was in a bit of a low state. Animation was seen as just kid stuff. With you just throw small amounts of money, and that's that. So hence why it's not the greatest in terms of animation quality, but the timing is still there, and some of the gags are still good, I think. And it's great for what it is. And I think that's amongst the last thing that Freeze himself would direct. He will still produce things after that, but I think that's
Right.
among the very few last things he would actually direct himself. So, not the best one, but not the worst thing to go out on. I would think either. But
There's also the Daffy Duck Easter excitement thing. I think Frisk does some directorial work in that, but I'm not sure. But
yeah, yes, yeah. I just remember that. Yeah, maybe that's his last. I mean, I'm sure someone will answer our question in the comments below. But yeah, we've been talking Christmas for the past half an hour, so I hope you all enjoy this. I also hope that you all have a wonderful and safe holidays. And yeah, obviously stay safe in these wonderful times of ours. At least we've got the cartoons to keep us entertained and and all that. So yeah,
yeah, don't hug your grandparents. Send them a fun meme.
just we got to do the
Oh
elbow.
yeah, and do this thing.
Yeah,
Don't
the
hit him
elbow
in the
thing.
head too hard.
Oh, of course, no, we don't want that. You do the elbow thing while I'm wearing a mask, of course. But hopefully things will get better next year. Whether it does or not remains to be seen. But honestly, guys, this will be the last video of the year. So obviously, not just Happy Christmas, but enjoy your New Year. I'll be back in the New Year with a few 1946 commentary redos. So they'll be as reviews because a lot of you did miss out on those. I know Fox is excited to watch those. Am I right?
Sorry, go on.
Yes. No, and then after I come back from my holidays towards the end of January, I will start 1949. Hopefully, all nice and fresh. So I'm sure we'll be looking forward to that. I know you'll be on a few of those tracks, right, Fox?
Of course. Who said I wouldn't?
That's right. That's right. So in any case, once again, have a Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year, and I will see you all in 2022. So, see ya.